Well, it's learning by doing. And when one's looking at an organisation like the European Union, which is very complex in terms of how it operates, when it's got a set of decision-making institutions with which most students are not familiar, it's new. When a lot of students have difficulty understanding the distinction between institutions like the Commission, the Parliament, the Council, the European Council, not made easier by the fact a lot of them have got similar names as well, then I think actually once you've got is where some knowledge about the institutions from lectures and from reading, to actually then try to play these institutions in a real situation, dealing with real policies. I think it just makes it more immediate. I think it makes it more understandable. I think it makes it more interesting. Well, a number of things, but the most important, I think, would be an increased knowledge and understanding of how the European works, plus an increased knowledge of and understanding of what the European Union does. Now, those two things involve a number of issues. With regard to how the European Union works, I think if students could just develop a better understanding of the fact why it is so difficult for states, which in some ways seem to be similar, to work together. Why does Europe find it so difficult to make decisions? Why can Europe, if you like, I'm talking now about American students, why cannot Europe function in the way the United States can? The reason, of course, is because the fundamental differences between the member states who are used traditionally to making decisions by themselves and now have to do it collectively, and that's difficult. With regards to what the second thing, what the European Union does, I think a lot of my impression is that a lot of Americans think that Europe is primarily about having what used to be called a common market, an internal market, it's now commonly called. And I think it's important, if students are going to have a knowledge of international affairs anyway, that they recognise that the European Union operates in all sorts of policy areas. Indeed, there's not many policy areas where it does not have some involvement. So it's becoming a very important international organisation. Well, two things. On a general level, I think it is important that most students are going to go on to significant, in some respects important jobs in their careers, whether it's in the public or private sector. And I think that people who are in important positions should have an international perspective. They shouldn't be totally introspective. Shouldn't just simply looking at their own state. So I think it's important in its own right. But from the point of view of, I think it's crucial in terms of the American economy. If the United States is obviously a major trading nation, it's a major interacts with other countries in all sorts of ways, and an important player on the international stage is Europe. And without having such an understanding, I think that from the point of view of American policy will be less well served if, as were today's students, tomorrow's businessmen, politicians, administrators, if they don't have a knowledge of what's going on out there, their policy effectiveness, whether it's in business, whether it's in terms of trying to get into markets, whether it's in terms of dealing with the states, it's going to be less effective.
The accession processes have been open for several years, and Turkey has made very few advances. The EU has proven that we are willing to accept them, but they have to meet the set of criteria that every other state that has entered into this organization has had to meet. And if we make concessions and abbreviate that process, it's going to set a dangerous precedent for future other countries that might want to join too. And if we continue to make exceptions, it's going to continue down the line. People will be like, well, you did this for Turkey, what can you do for us? And that Turkey needs to meet us halfway in the process. We're here, we're saying we're available. We're not saying we don't want them to join, but another thing that needs to be taken into consideration is the fact that part of joining the EU, the citizens of that state have to want to join. And Turkey's accession process has been highly initiated by their government, and the citizens don't want to become part of the EU, the regular Turkish citizens. That's a main part of